Hey, good morning. It's Fort Worth Playboy, and this is the Fort Worth Playboy morning show. We got to go a little bit early this morning, tight schedule. My apologies if you're jumping in. Um, if you are on Twitter and you have questions, I can't see your questions. If you're on YouTube, any questions you have, just put it in the commentary box. And that way I can see them. I'll do my very best to address any questions during the broadcast. Sometimes I get there, sometimes I don't. It just depends on how this thing plays out. What do we do on the Fort Worth Playboys morning show? The goal is to cover game, pickup, relationships, and sex. And Bunny and I are generally together on some of these programs. The morning show is tend to be me at 7 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then at 11 on Thursdays, Bunny and I jump in here, and she gives you her girl brain take on things. But on our timeline, she and I try to stay within our boundaries, within our barriers, more specific tactical applications, things that you can use that day to move a girl from a complete stranger to naked and in your bed, or even on improving a 10, 20, or 30-year relationship or marriage, which is really Bunny's specialty. But when you come to here, we fall under the umbrella of the red pill, which is like men's rights movement, MGTOW, any type of intersexual dynamics, including like politics, social, psychosocial. All of these things matter. But we tend to stay within, like I said, the tactical. Red pill is more strategic. Game is tactical, applicable things that you can put into play that day and improve your life. So that's what we do, and that's what we're here for. And I appreciate you joining us. So the first thing we always start off with every morning is a maxim. It kind of sounds like church this morning, but it's not. If you want to look at the Church of Game. Maxim number 27 from Chateau Artiste. He has about 200 of these. Maxim number 27. Beyond beauty, a woman's attractiveness to men is partly a function of her feminine vulnerability or her ability to mimic feminine vulnerability. Corollary to Maxim 27. Men are turned off by overconfident, assertive, proudly self-sufficient women. I always try to convey to people the first 3 to 6 months that I was reading Chateau Artiste, I spent mostly looking up words, not just game references, because there's a lot of game verbiage used in there. But sometimes, if you're just bebopping through your life, you're not sure what feminine vulnerability means exactly. And so the definition of feminine vulnerability is the act of sharing your inner self without expecting an external change. It's about being connected to your inner self and sharing your sacred and weaker parts. And this is what women do, because don't let this throw you. These are the things that attract men to women, the essence of the attractiveness beyond just the physical beauty, who they are and what they do. A vulnerable woman is, and it's the exact opposite of men. A vulnerable woman is unafraid to cry, to tell the truth, to appear weak, to be wrong, and to believe it worth the risk, even if she knows she may get hurt. Now, none of these things are accurate for a man, which gives you an idea of anything we see as the opposite, we tend to be attracted to it. And that's what you see. When I was reading through here, I was like, I know guys that would rather literally die in a fire than ever admit that they were wrong about a decision. And that's them. That's how they're made. They would rather just fall over. And that's where, at the end of the day, when you hear these girls that are career oriented, boss babes, fairly masculine, that's why I always say, attorneys are the worst women you could possibly be attracted to or to date, because they're in a masculine environment and they start picking up those types of traits simply because they have to. Even the most paper pushing corporate approval, non-trial, non-going to court type attorney who's a woman at some point has to argue for herself. And none of that is attractive to men. And you can't do that for a decade or 2 decades and it not pick up unless you're really good at turning things off. So everything that a man is attracted to is the exact opposite of himself. And the more feminine women, and even guys talk about like going overseas, the women are just across the board more feminine. They haven't had the hardening effect of, our culture in the US. Men are turned off by the exact opposite. And I think girls really struggle to wrap their head around this, that, getting the college degree and running with it and being career oriented and I can do it on my own and strong, independent women really repels men. And a lot of it, like, especially if you see some of these traits in an online profile from women, it's projection. These are the things they want. I make great money. I'm well traveled. I've moved up in the corporate world. I own my own house. These are not things that men care about whatsoever. We care that you're not overweight, that you have long hair, that you're pleasant to be around. But for women, they're projecting. These are the things that they are looking for. So that's why you see that a lot of times. And men are turned off by this overconfident, assertive, proudly self-sufficient women. And sometimes that gets lost in translation, especially moms raising daughters. And mom never worked outside of the house. And it kind of bothers her. So she's raising daughters that are self-sufficient, not realizing that it's really a bad situation. So there's a lot of factors going into this. But as Chateau drills it down, the things that attract us to women is their feminine vulnerability. They're the basic essence. That's why the longer hair, the petite, the smaller they are. All of these things make women more attractive to us. It's the exact opposite of us. So maximum number 27, beyond beauty, a woman's attractiveness to men is partly a function of her feminine vulnerability or her ability to mimic feminine vulnerability. She can, just like when we run game, she can fake it till she makes it. There's a lot of girls that, they may not deep down be as need men as much as they show, but it works in their favor because we don't know any better, and that's fine. It attracts us to them. And corollary to maximum number 27, men are turned off by overconfident, assertive, proudly self-sufficient women. It really does push you away, and that's okay. This is how we're designed, and Chateau knew this stuff years ago before it really started hitting the mainstream. Let's see what else we have. So this is when we're talking about game, less is more with girls, and that's one of those what would you say? It's just a catchphrase that I've caught myself using over and over, because quite often guys will reach out to me when something has gone south. Guys don't reach out to me when things are going great unless they want to take it to the next level that they've never taken it to. They usually reach out to me when something has gone south, something important to them has broken, or the girl's changed her behavior, or what they normally say is, I knew I shouldn't do this, but I did it anyway, and it bit me in the ass. How do I fix it? And that's who reaches out to me. Guys that are very accomplished, good with women, but they made a mistake that they will self-admittedly they shouldn't have made, but they did it anyway, and it bit them in the ass. So with women, if you'd like to avoid having to call me, less is more with girls. As men, we are taught more is always better. Our default is to take action. Lift more, earn more, work more. But with women, you'll be more successful with less. Text less, talk less, initiate contact less, care less. Girls love an aloof and indifferent man. And that's the real deal. Anytime, I kind of like put out some basic alpha texting suggestions, like no punctuation, no capitalization, fewer words, let her initiate more. This is after you're fucking her. You can let her initiate. But generally, when men apply these texting, which is really essentially less is more, you get an almost immediate return on your investment. Girls are more receptive. They start taking more action. They start chasing you. And that's the power of less is more, because men are by default, if we're not sure like what a girl's thinking or where she's at or what's going, our default is to take action, to reach out to them, to, ask them what's going on, or, but when you learn this, you find that if you can just restrain yourself from taking action, maybe a third of the time, and just keep on trucking, or reach out to a different girl, or go to work, or go to the gym, anything but reaching out to her, you'll find that they'll reach out to you more often. They will be more receptive to you when you do reach out. All kinds of good things come from this, because most guys, it's hard for you to see how most men behave, but we have insight just, over time. They're blowing her phone up. They're chit-chatting all day. They'll do FaceTime while they're driving to work, talk all at text. Hey, it's nonstop, and it just wears girls down. Whereas you're there, you hit it, and then you get it. You're there, and then you're back on, for lack of a better phrase, you're on your mission. You're on your job. You're talking to other women. But less is more with women. And if you notice, if you can just pull back, talk a little bit less, slow everything down a little bit. You still have to initiate. You still have to do some things. But if you pull it back like by a third, you'll find yourself hitting it just right. And this is one of those things that guys, especially when you're kind of like learning game, you say, I need to put this into play. I need to do this. I need to do this. And at a certain point, you're doing enough, and it's time to kind of like tab it back a little bit, just a third. That's what I always recommend to guys. Text a little bit less, use fewer words, men, anything that's more laconic, a little bit slower, easygoing. Let her be the one with the energy sometimes, because guys, we tend to overwhelm girls, but you have to trust me on this, that she's not going to be bored by herself. She's always got somebody in that phone. She's got girlfriends. She's got her family. She's got orbiters. You want to be the guy that takes action in person, not by texting or DMs or through Instagram. You want to, if you're going to take action, it's in her presence where sex can happen. And that way she can chit chat all day with other dudes, but you're the one that she's having sex with. That's a win-win for us. And that's why we say less is more with girls. And if you find girls, and they'll do this on purpose and unintentionally sometimes, they'll pull back. Like you hear from her almost, every day, and then you don't hear from her. Let it ride. Let it ride. If you don't hear from her, let it ride. You don't have to reach out to her. Hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you. Let it go. Less is more. A lot of times girls will test you. They love to play their own games, that they want to see if you'll freak out, if you'll become needy, if how much does he really like me? Back it off a little bit and let her do whatever she's doing. And you talk to other women. And that's usually the best thing I say is just, well, what do I do with my freedom? Well, talk to other women. You run enough women at one time, after a while, you don't notice. I mean, what happens is you go, fuck, what happened to that girl? And she just dropped off. She probably got a boyfriend. Her ex-husband came back. Boyfriend got out of jail. It could be anything. But it doesn't matter because you completely missed it. It didn't matter. But you're already rolling with 4 or 5 other girls. So the more you have that you're talking to or moving towards sex, the better off you are. And you'll tend to manage them all a lot better. And women sense that, that feeling of abundance that really carries over into all your conversations and the way you carry yourself. Because if this one doesn't work out, that's okay. There's another bus coming every 10 minutes and you can get a hold of it. So that's the real deal. If there's one thing you put into play today, let it be less is more. If you're struggling, not, if your game's good, don't fuck with it. But less is more with girls. As men, we're taught more is always better. Lift more, earn more, work more. But with girls, you'll be more successful with less. Text less, talk less, initiate contact less, care less. Girls love an aloof and indifferent man. I've lost my ability to speak this morning. That's not a good thing, especially if you have a morning show. Let's see what else we got on the timeline. I try to pick things up that are, in order here. The old normie statements. All that game stuff is for homos. Just lift weights, focus on yourself, make money, and the girls will come. Guy who's married to his high school girlfriend for 20 years. Who do you not want to ask for dating advice from? Usually men that have been married forever. And boy, will they give, because guys always love to give advice that they're not qualified to give. And if you want to hear guys get all worked up, talk about girls, guns, or money. And everybody's an expert, and that not many men at all have much experience with women. Very, very few. It's a real deal. I mean, just like other than Bunny, women can't give you advice on picking up women because they've never picked any up. Or if he's a guy that, has been married for 20 years, he might be best giving you advice on how to be married from 15 years to 20 years. Because even the first 5 are going to be different today than they were then. Some basic things, but you want to go with people that are experts in what you need. And for a lot of them, they don't understand how it's necessary. I mean, the days of being, right up her ass all the time and showing that you could stick with it while she pushes you away are gone. There's just so many options. Girls used to meet 2 or 3 guys that they might marry. They may date, and they would pick from one of 4, not one of 400 or 4,000 or 40,000 like there is today. But generally, all that game stuff is for homos. These are guys that have never had to deal with it, never, not had a girlfriend. They've been married for 20 years. Just lift weights. And I love this one because I do kind of convey to guys that are in our world, we think everybody exercises, everybody lifts weights, when in fact less than 1% of the U.S. population exercises regularly. Almost no one. You can go to the airport, you can go to a professional sports game, you can go anywhere in public and look around you, unless you're in Colorado or in a coastal city, an affluent coastal city, everybody's fat. And you are the anomaly. We are the outliers that we lift weights. And the fact that we know game. Focus on yourself, make money. And we know that money's not exactly the key to picking up women. Lots of broke bartenders, betting 7s on a dirty mattress on their floor all the time. And the girls will come, and they won't. These guys, they work on themselves, but then they're standing around by themselves. And I tell people this. I mean, every Friday and Saturday night, there's a number of attractive men, well-built, good careers, working out at 7 or 8 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday, and they're not going out. It's because they're shy or they're socially awkward. And so they have no game whatsoever. And so there's no women in their life. And then it becomes, and every couple of months that this goes by, it gets worse because they're now 19 with no women, and then 20, and then 21. And then it just gets worse because it's one of those things that just compounds itself. But you need to go to the experts. You need to go to people that know exactly how to move a girl from complete stranger to naked in your bed in a reliable system that can be replicated and that you can adjust to yourself and personalize, as opposed to asking, your brother-in-law or listening to the advice of some guy on the work site that's been married for 20 years, because this is the kind of advice they'll give you. Or they'll even give you just like, because they just enjoy getting high or getting drunk and playing video games or pursuing their hobbies. They'll say, don't get married, or you don't need a girlfriend, that kind of thing. So you just got to remember, like, what you want. Finding an expert in that field is the important thing, and somebody that can adjust the view or the target to you. All that game stuff is for homos. Just lift weights, focus on yourself, make money, and the girls will come, and they won't. You'll be a wealthy, well-built guy standing around by himself. It happens all the time. So your wife may be cold, nagging shrew. I guess we forgot an A there. Your wife may be cold, nagging shrew. The question is what you're doing to help her. What are you doing to help her be a nagging shrew is the question. And the best thing you can do at the end of the day, if you're in this situation, is lose weight, lift weights, dress better, increase income, keep it to yourself, run game on her, make yourself scarce, ignore her, flirt with girls in front of her, and do what you want. If that fails, pack her shit, throw it in the yard, send her back to her parents. In an ideal world, in the days that you didn't have to give up half your property and pay 50% in child support. But the best thing you can do when these marriages are going south is at some point you're going to have to put dread game at a certain level into play. And that means basically, for lack of a better phrase, acting like you're single or doing the things that you would do if you were single and wanting to attract a woman, even though she's still in the house. And these are the things that dread game puts into play, is to improve yourself and kind of lessen the focus on her. Because guys tend to, when things go south within their marriage or their relationship, there's no competition for her. Women love to compete with other women for a man's attention because that creates high value. Women don't trust their own judgment. If I'm the only one that likes him, how valuable is he really? Guys, we might every once in a while go, what do you think of her? But generally guys are like, yeah, she does it for me. That they never ask anybody else's opinion. Women are constantly asking everyone's opinion about other men that they're attracted to because they don't trust their own judgment. They've already fucked up so many times in their lifetime, or they'd already be happily married and not asking stupid questions. So that's the real deal. When you're dealing with a loss of attraction, you have to put into play, and these things should have been in play anyway, with improving your attractiveness and creating competition. And guys go, hey, like with dread game, are you going to push her away? No, because the outcome, whether she stays or leaves, the outcome of you being a better person, benefits yourself and everyone else around you. If it's already too far gone, you'll have needed to do these things anyway to get back on the market and be attractive to more women. And if she does stay, more power to you. You just keep doing what you're doing in a good way, the changes you've made. But generally, with dread game, it's like we start placing things. You got a marriage going bad. Guys tend to start doing more. What's going on? Do we need to go to counseling? Let's go do a date night. All these things. And it just makes her madder. And Bunny's really good about like walking people through, because in our brain, we're like, it doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. And she's really good at how aggravated and how disgusted women become when a guy kind of starts chasing them within the confines of a relationship. She's already pissed and she just gets madder and madder. And you've seen these guys are like, what do you want me to do? And you feel bad because, everything they're doing is just like making her angrier. She's already insane. So the best thing for him to do is to not worry about her and to take care of himself. And she can follow along, or she can hire an attorney for $50,000 and file for divorce. I mean, that's the thing, is you take care of yourself and let her decide what she's going to do. And the best thing you can do is, again, if you're 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds overweight, it's not going to serve you in the future no matter what. Lose weight, lift weights, start improving your appearance, increase your income, keep it to yourself. Run game on her, make yourself scarce, ignore her, flirt with girls in front of her, and do what expected. And running game on her, again, you start treating her like you would treat any female out in the world. If she doesn't reach out to you, you don't reach out to her. She can chase you if you do this right, and you make yourself known that other women are attracted to you, and things start changing rather rapidly. It really is a lot of work on the front end, and then things start tipping when they get better. But dread saves marriages. Dread saves relationships too. But the marriages is the big one, which, I can save a 20 or 30 year marriage that everybody else is giving up on. So that's the real deal with dread game, which we do actually. I have a book. Was it My Wife Stopped Fucking Me? What can I say to get her going again? For healthy, happy, sex-filled relationships, use dread. Less talking, more anxious girls with dripping pussies, frantically fucking their men to prevent him from roaming. Everyone wins. Girls want to chase. We want to be caught every once in a while. That's the real deal with dread. And that book's clickable. It can be downloaded today. If you have any questions, which we didn't really have any today, but I do appreciate it. And I did go off early. And my apologies if I caught somebody unaware. We'll be back at 7 a.m. tomorrow. I already know my schedule. It's more relaxed. Today's tight, but I appreciate you being here. I hope you've taken something away from this broadcast that you can apply today, improve your life, improve the women in your life. But I appreciate your time. Your time is very valuable, and I appreciate you being here with me. If you have any questions, put them in the comment box or below on Twitter, and I will get to it. And I hope you guys have a great Monday.